Let us know when it's good to go.
Okay.
We good?
Yeah.
What's up, everybody? We're going live right now. Sports politicking. The NBA Finals just ended. We're super excited about this conversation we're going to have with y'all. We're talking LeBron James, retirement, NBA Finals, Golden State. Tonight is only myself, Jay Noetic, Mr. Allen J. Hinton, and Mr. Turner himself. You can follow me on Twitter at Jay Noetic. That's J Noetic. You can follow us at Sports Politicking on there as well. And quick introductions with Allen and Turner. Go ahead, fellas.
I guess I'll start off since I always started off. Allen Hinton from Chesapeake, Virginia, living in Wilmington, North Carolina. Follow me on Twitter, aflash79.
And John Turner, currently living in Chesapeake, Virginia, from Newport News. You can follow me on Twitter at Everybody Loves John, ERBODY Loves John.
757. I missed the 757, man. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Not enough though to move back.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting place, for sure.
So, all right, guys. So let's talk about this. You know, we had our group chat going on, and we kind of go back and forth with just different ideas and different thoughts. And I think we all pretty much agree that we're pretty happy for LeBron. You know, even though some of us don't really like LeBron per se, we like Mr. Allen. We're happy that he finally got one for Cleveland. So before we talk about anything else, let's talk about that. Are you guys happy for LeBron?
You know what, man? I had to sleep on it, really. Last night I was whatever, but I woke up this morning and I thought about it. Like, it's kind of cool. It's been 50 some odd years, 52 years since they've done a parade of any sort in Ohio. They won a NFL championship even before the Super Bowl. So, like, in the common era of sports, the championships that we recognize, they don't have nothing. So that's dope. And for a guy who's actually from Ohio to be the key player, even though I don't think he was the reason they won Game 7, at least offensively, for a guy to be that face of the franchise and him be from there, it is really cool. It's a great sports story. And I think like you said yesterday, that's history. We really just witnessed something that you don't ever see really often and not going to see again anytime soon, like a cat that, even though he didn't stay home, but a guy who did it for his hometown team and really wanted to do that. It wasn't just like, you know, a Derrick Rose thing where he got drafted and I figure I might as well do it. Like, you know, the fact that he came back in some ways kind of makes it more meaningful to me because it's like, all right, I'm here and I want to do this for Cleveland.
I agree, man. Like, he did not. I mean, let's keep that in mind. He did not have to come back. He could have kept his ass right in Miami,
right,
and probably got another 2 championships if you want to be real with it. But he decided to go back, and I think that is huge. Because how many players in modern time will be willing to go back, and not only go back, but take a pay cut? He took a slight pay cut, did he not, Turner?
No. When he got signed, he signed for the max, but he signed a shorter deal. So because he signed a shorter deal, he gave himself leverage. So the sense of a pay cut, not necessarily because he's getting more money. Is he underpaid? Yes, but not really a pay cut because he signed for all he could sign for under the collective bargaining agreement. So
gotcha.
Yeah.
So are you well, I think we all know, guys, if y'all haven't been paying attention to sports politicking and if you're not following us in our Facebook page, Turner's probably one of Bron's biggest supporters, and we give him a hard time because he always trying to talk LeBron. So I'm gonna ask him this question. I'm pretty sure he's gonna say yes. Are you happy for Bron? And
well, I don't think everybody knew that until you told them, Jay.
Oh, now they know. Now they know.
Now they know. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm happy for him. Obviously, I'm happy for Cleveland as well, for sure. You know, I don't believe in all that sports torture nonsense. But again, I'm from a place where there are no teams, and we have to root for teams. The closest team is the Redskins. Orioles are in Baltimore. Panthers are in North Carolina. So I'm pretty agnostic to that. But I'm happy for them for sure. As far as him, the player, yeah, I'm definitely glad that he was able to exercise some demons. You know, they lost to the Warriors last year. A lot of people criticized him for that as well. Came back, had more help, and and then they ended up winning this year. So yeah, that was definitely good for him. I'm also happy for Kevin Love. I'm a big Kevin Love fan as well, and he didn't play well at all for the most part. But Game
No.
7, you know, the rebounding, offensive rebounding specifically, and then you add in that defensive stop against Curry. Yeah, I'm definitely happy for all of them for
Yeah,
sure.
I think it's a great story, man. And I'm not even a big LeBron fan. Like, I'm gonna be honest, but I found myself rooting for LeBron because there's so many people that I feel like dislike this guy for no reason other than being great. And LeBron is a great player. And I know that's hard for a lot of people to admit, but the brother is probably one of the best that will ever play the game. And I think that it was amazing that he went back and was able to formally keep that team together. I mean, you fire your coach, not him particularly. I mean, they fired.
Yeah.
maybe, but the coach they hired got fired mid-season, and Tyronn Lue comes in and able to change that team and keep them going. And I think it's just a great thing. Do you guys think that? Well, let me ask you this: what was the turning point in that game where you figured, okay, the Cavaliers are going to win this game?
For me, it was when they Golden State got up 8 in the third quarter and JR scored 8 points on tough shots.
Mm.
That did it for me. The threes, I think they were both contested by Draymond Green, who played an outstanding Game 7.
One of them was
Yeah.
But yeah, at that point, I was like, I feel like Cleveland can win this game because Golden State hadn't really had a Golden State run all series. And at that point, Cleveland just, as long as they didn't get down too deep, at that point, I was like, I feel like they're going to win.
What about you, Alan?
For me, it was after that. Even once that point passed, they kind of took another lead, and Golden State came back and tied it up, and then they went back and forth throughout most of the fourth quarter. I didn't really have a this game is over, Cleveland might win it moment until, what was it, the 135 mark or whatever, when LeBron blocked that.
That was it. That was it for me too.
Yeah, like once that happened, and seeing the excitement and seeing how their body language was versus Golden State. Golden State, I think, really needed that shot to go in right there.
Yeah.
Because they were struggling. I feel like we were stuck at 89 for like 3 or 4 minutes. It may not have been accurate, but
No, that's actually right. Yeah, that's actually right. It was for a very long time.
Right, and I think that they really needed that layup to like kind of put the first crack in the dam or whatever you want to call it. And when that didn't happen, I think they started to look like, man, what else can we do? What do we have here? I don't know. I think it was a combination of the defense, but also just them trying to get to not necessarily hero ball, but the ball moving not happening like it had in the past. Having a hard time finding good shots. And once LeBron blocked that shot, the excitement that you had on Cleveland's end versus the confusion really you had in Golden State, to me, was like, all right, at some point now, if they're going to try to win this game, it's going to be doing something extreme. And there was nobody more confident at that point than Kyrie Irving. So once he got the ball, I knew he was going to shoot a three. I really at no point thought he was attacking the basket. I knew the three was coming, and I figured it was going to go in. So from that point forward, nothing really surprised me.
Yeah, I mean, like, same thing for me. Like, the entire game, and this is probably the first game that I actually watched minute per minute, like even halftime. And the whole game, I had no clue who was going to win this game. I felt like Curry, Thompson, or Green could hit a three at any moment in the last 2 minutes and put the game away. But that shot never came.
Mm-hmm.
And then when Iguodala went for that layup, and I just saw LeBron running full speed down the court, and I literally when that shot missed, my eyes went straight to LeBron because they were on a fast break, and I looked at LeBron, and LeBron took off on a full sprint, and I didn't think he was going to get there, but when he went up and blocked that shot, I literally jumped out of my seat because I don't root for LeBron, but that to me was the turning point in that game, and I said to myself, Cavaliers are going to win this. And sure enough, I think I read a stat somewhere that said Cleveland held Golden State scoreless for like the final 4 minutes of the game, something like that.
4 minutes.
So, yeah, so I just thought that was the turning point in the game, and super excited for all those guys who won the game. I just saw reading somewhere yesterday that the favorites for next year to win the championship is Golden State. Do you think that's true? You think they're more favored than Cavaliers?
And before I answer that, you'd be surprised to know I actually didn't jump out of my seat when that
happened. You expected it, right?
I'm not even gonna say that. I didn't even see him coming, so I had no idea that was gonna happen. And then I'm talking to Marcel in the group. We had a whole thread. So
comments.
Yes, yeah. Him and I were, had a good conversation back and forth. A few others jumped in too. So, yeah, I was talking about that, and I saw the whole play where Kyrie missed the layup, but then I guess I didn't register what I saw because I was like, he always does chase down blocks. Something about that one was just different. That's why I was just like,
It was different, man. Like
it was different, right?
I was just like, damn, that was a block of. I don't even know. It was just. It was good. It was good.
I think if you add the circumstances of the block, you add that, and then it literally looked like he came out of nowhere. I haven't seen him run that fast in a while. So when you factor all of those things, that was crazy. Go ahead, Alan.
I was actually going to say something along the same lines when you talk about the magnitude of the moment. One of the things that I was really excited about, I don't really get excited about press conferences and stuff like that too often, but after the game, one of the interviews, he actually said something along the lines of, that block defines my legacy. And I was,
oh, wow, I missed that.
Him say or acknowledge how important that play was, that effort was in not only this game, but really the history of Cleveland sports. You can't understate how big that was, and he realized that.
It was big, and then one thing I like to point out too is it seems to be in the finals that, especially when I'm a Bulls fan, and I remember watching the Bulls play, and in those finals, it was never really Jordan that always hit those clutch shots. It was always Steve Kerr or John Paxson.
Oh, is that right? I had no idea. Let everybody tell it. Jordan hit everything. Oh my God.
Jordan hit some tough shots, but he didn't always hit those clutch shots, right? Let's be real. And so in Game 7, here we go. Who gets the shot? It's not LeBron. Kyrie hits that shot.
It's Kyrie.
And
yeah.
I was like, wow. Like, it was a great shot, man.
Here's the difference to me, also as a Bulls fan, here's the difference to me between Jordan and LeBron. I'm not going to go too much into it, but in those big moments, they're still running plays for Jordan. Jordan still has the ball at some point. Jordan's still the focal point of your offense. You can't tell me where LeBron James was in that three that Kyrie hit. He didn't even come close to the basketball. You know what I mean?
Wasn't that after a timeout, though? Like, so that play had to be called for Kyrie, I believe.
I don't think a timeout was called, was it? Wasn't that after
remember.
Wasn't that after the chase down?
I'm pretty sure it was after a stop ball.
Was it?
I'm pretty sure it was.
I remember the block shot, and they came down the court, and I feel like, no, you might be right. You might be right. Maybe it was directly after that, so maybe you're right on that.
It might have been directly after. Either way, yeah, I mean, I listen, Kyrie hit a big shot. I think, though, the problem that I have just with the shot is that just encourages him to play more hero ball. And Cleveland more or less beat Golden State's team with two players playing hero ball, and everybody said going into the series that wouldn't work, and then the exact opposite happened to where it did work, and they beat Golden State. Yeah, I did want to pose something to y'all though. Y'all boy is getting killed. Does he deserve the criticism that he's going to get? And I'm talking about Steph Curry.
I'm about to say, who my boy? Let me find out who my boy is first. Honestly, look, let me get a little airtime real quick. Y'all know on Sundays I don't get no airtime. So let me say this. Curry deserves every little bit of criticism that he is going to get. He played horribly. Not just really the finals. I mean, he played bad against OKC. Other than that one game where he had just came back and started talking about I'm back, doing his little shoulder shuffle and everything, he deserves it. He is the reigning regular season MVP of the league.
First ever.
You know, and you have to step up. You have to play. And I know that's a lot of pressure, but you should lead that Golden State team. And he has so many turnovers. I'm asking myself, why is he doing a behind-the-back pass? Why? Creating a turnover. Like, he deserves all that. And all the blame that he gets, it falls on his shoulders. Big-time players step up and make big-time plays. And he just did not do it. So I don't feel sorry for him. That LeBron been getting his whole career. So it's time for Curry to get it too.
So this is what I'm gonna say to that. I think two wrongs don't make it right. Just because people stupidly criticize LeBron, I mean, just people still do it, and I don't know why. But just because people stupidly criticize LeBron doesn't mean that we should blindly criticize Steph too. He didn't play well. He had 30 turnovers and 26 assists for the series.
Hold on, how many turnovers?
30.
Yikes.
He shot 40% from three, which is great, but that's not Steph great. And he only shot 40% from the field total, which isn't good at all. I mean, his true shooting percentage was 58%, which again is elite, especially when you consider that he used 31% of the possessions. But it's not Steph elite. I was talking to somebody today, and I equated it to, and I hate to do my boy like this, but Peyton Manning. You're great in the regular season, super great, but then when you get to the playoffs, it's different. Now, I'll also say that football is very different than basketball in that regard because quarterback could do his job and others may let him down. The point that I'm making is when you're going against better defenses and better teams and more aware offenses, then it becomes more imperative that you hold your level of play from the regular season, and he didn't do it. So I'll criticize him for not playing well, but I'm not going to go too hard on him. I mean, I don't think they lost to a better team. I personally don't use the word choke, but there was a massive upset there. I don't think there's any other way that you could say it. They lost, and they should have won. Cleveland had a 27% chance of winning that series, man, and they did it in 7 on the road. Like, Steph gonna get it, and he should get criticized. He should. People are gonna go too far, like with anything, but he should.
Yeah, that's always. Go ahead, Al. What you got to say on that?
I think he deserves a lot of blame, but not for the reasons people are going to blame him for. Yeah, he shot 40% from the floor, which is terrible. 30 turnovers and 26 assists is definitely not acceptable. But for me, and it kind of goes back to what Jay was saying and what you were saying about LeBron, both of those guys allow their teammates to hit big shots. Both of those guys know when to give up the ball. Both of those guys know hero ball is not a thing. It doesn't work more often than not. And Steph Curry has one of the best, wingmen out there. Like, he's got that guy who plays perfectly off of him and Klay Thompson. And towards the end of the game, he got so focused on winning the game. Like, that next possession after Kyrie hit the three, everybody and their mama knew Steph Curry was going to shoot a three to try to answer that. There's no reason for that when you've got a guy like Klay who has won games by himself pretty much in the past, even in the playoffs. Like, it'd be one thing if nobody else on his team has done anything big to win you games in the past. Nobody else on his team is capable of winning games in the past. If Harrison Barnes was your next best scoring option, then I would understand. But the reality is, coming into that game, like coming into that last couple possessions, there was no doubt in my mind, probably no doubt in the coach's mind, probably no doubt in most fans' minds, there was only one guy that was going to shoot.
Mm-hmm.
Keep building this team up about being team ball. You keep building this team up about having guys who can hit game-winning shots. You got Draymond Green hit a game-winner this season. Harrison Barnes miraculously hit a game-winner this season. Klay Thompson hit a few. And one of the things that they always talked about in the press conferences after, going into practice, going into games, was that we feel confident with anybody taking that shot at the end of the game. So where was that? Where was that? Why is it that Steph feels like he's got to be the guy to take a shot? As a point guard first, because he is a point guard. That's the position he plays, that's the way he needs to act. He's got to, at some point, find ways to get the guy with the best shooting opportunity that shot. I know that, the superstar was putting the ball in his hand when games at the on line at the end, and Kobe Bryant wouldn't have passed even if he was 1 for 27 in the game. But when you know you're cold, and Klay's been shooting better than you the majority of the game, at least get him in a look. Maybe not on that first three, but the ensuing possession, if you get another shot, you gotta let that man get a look. I mean, other than most Bates at the buzzer shot another shot at the end of that game, he shouldn't be the only one shooting. That's not the way Golden State plays basketball. And as a star player, he's got to be responsible.
I agree. But here's an even better question that I asked you two. Where was the coaching? Why not coach a play to go inside? Why settle for that three? Because they weren't out of the game. You didn't have to jack up 3-pointers, right? So where was the coaching? Why did they rely on that three?
Because they live and die by the three. That's been their thing, and they seem content with that. One of the things that seems to be forgotten up until this point, and I think even by them, is that they've always been a really productive team at getting to the hoop. They stopped doing that. When the game got out of hand, when the game got a little bit the momentum, and not just this game, the last three really. Once momentum stopped going their way, they tried to three-point themselves back into it. Last game, Klay Thompson gave up what would have been a contested layup to take a really ugly three-pointer. And I'm looking at this dude like, all right, there's somebody in the lane. You got the angle on him. You go to the basket. Either you hit the layup, or you hit the layup and get fouled, or you miss and you're still going to the line.
Yeah.
It's better than let me take a step back and shoot a contested three. Like, this ain't NBA. What are we doing?
Well, I think I'm gonna take a different approach. It's hard to criticize them for they've been playing this way all season. If they started trying to go to the cup every time as opposed to shooting threes, then we'll criticize them for changing from what got them there. So can't have it both ways. I will say that when Kevin Love played that great defense on Steph, he had a layup. He could have gotten past him.
Yeah, absolutely.
He could have gotten past him. Now, I don't necessarily know if that's on Kerr. I will put that on Steph. He absolutely could have, or at least tried to go past him. Like every time he had a step, then he would pull back and try to shoot the three. That's hero ball at its finest right there. And, basketball guards don't like that. So not necessarily hero ball, but you trying to do something that you're not really – he could do it, but that's not something that Golden State really does. So, listen, man, it's a lot of blame to go around for sure in Golden State. Like, Kerr made a mistake of putting Ezeli back in the game.
Made the mistake of not taking Varejao out earlier.
Yeah. Varejao was struggling so bad. I was like, yo, take this dude out the game. All the fouls, and he was just bad, man. Let's go back to the question real quick. We didn't answer it. Is Golden State your favorite to win it next year?
It's too hard to say right now. You had too many guys, first off, that underperformed. And then there's a lot of guys who played and are important that'll be free agents going into the offseason. Two of those guys are in both categories. Festus Ezeli and Harrison Barnes, to me, or both guys who you needed more out of that didn't play well.
Barnes struggled bad too.
Festus had spurts where he looked pretty good, but for him to be a guy that people were really talking about being a guy that you take a gamble on a max contract in the offseason, you didn't see any of that in the finals at all. And then, like you said, Harrison Barnes, to me, I think Harrison Barnes played his way back into Golden State. But the thing about that is, if that's the Harrison Barnes you're going to get, you want him there. I mean, there's guys.
How many points did he have in Game 7? Let me look it up really quick. I feel like he had like 2 points.
He hit at least 2 threes. I know he had at least 8 points.
He had more than 2 points.
Let me see what he got.
I'm looking it up right now. Harrison Barnes had 10 points.
Yeah.
10 points.
But anytime Harrison Barnes attacks the basket, it looks like a mistake waiting to happen. There was one time in the third when he drove. I was watching a game with a couple friends from my church. He went straight to the basket. He looked like he was confused. He got bailed out by the foul call, but he was off when he went up for that. Everything he did in the finals looked like a disaster waiting to happen, even when he caught and shot threes. So you have to wonder, like, is this what we saw with him, what we saw with Festus, what we saw with Barbosa the last 2 games? Is this really what those guys are? Because Barbosa throughout most of the season hasn't been that great either. But do you re-sign Harrison Barnes? And for how much? Do you re-sign Festus Ezeli? What happens with Maurice Spates? You know what I mean? Like, I like Spates a lot on that team.
I don't.
You've got guys who are coming up their contract. Sean Livingston, I think, his expiring as well. Like, all 4 of those guys are guys who get minutes.
But can they afford to pay all 3 of those top of their players, Thompson, Curry, and Green? Is Green the new Harden?
Well, Green does stuff different than Harden. So from that, I understand how you're using it. Green just got his money. I think Clay got his too. And I'll look it up to make sure. But Steph is the one that's really going to be paid. They have all of their bird rights, if I'm not mistaken, so they can go over the cap to sign them because they've all been there. So the money isn't really the issue. The issue is paying the tax for Joe Lacob because he want to pay the luxury tax.
Right.
That's something that he's going to want to answer. Barnes isn't going to be worth that, but Barnes has value to them, especially the death lineup. He allows them to play a certain, because he can guard bigger players credibly and he can shoot. It was just a bad series for him.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, so he priced himself back in the Golden State's range if they want to lowball him and offer, if they choose to do that. I don't think that's a reflection of him as a player, but for those who thought he could have gone to another team and succeeded, that dream is pretty much dead. Definitely. What you see pretty much is what you get from him now. So,
yeah, Green just signed it last year, 5-year deal, $85 million.
Yep.
Yeah, Green ain't going nowhere, I think.
Yeah. Clay got his too. He's a unrestricted free agent in 2019. So, he has what, two more years left.
They got big money in Clay. They got money in Andrew Bogut. I mean, they got money that they have to figure out what they're gonna do. I mean, all those players are they worth that money? You know? So I don't know, man. I think it was a good series. One of the questions that we stumbled across in our group chat last night was the question of LeBron really doesn't have much else to prove, right? Like, he went and got his championships in Miami. He got 2. Said he was going to come back home in Cleveland, bring a championship here to Cleveland, and he did that. And I posed a question. I said, what if LeBron retires? Would that be shocking? What do you guys think? Is that possible that he would retire early?
Well, I'll just say this: if he does retire, when Jordan retired, he retired. But if LeBron retires, he's gonna quit. I'm
Mhm.
just telling you how it's gonna be spun. Even though it's pretty much
Oh,
the same thing.
that's true.
Yeah. So, um, yeah, I would be shocked because he's still an elite athlete. He's still the best player in basketball. Yeah. Him winning in Cleveland is that's not the actual equivalent of Mike doing his three-peat, but that's what he set out
Feels
to
like for
do.
them.
Yeah. So I would be very shocked. I don't think I understand he doesn't have anything else to prove, but honestly, I think at this point, everything at this point is going to get MJ, and I think he can do it. I do. Most don't. I think everything else at this point is dedicating to go get MJ. Everything.
Yeah, but how long is it going to take him to get MJ? When you say go get MJ, are you talking
Exactly.
about him winning 6 titles? Like, is he going
No,
to?
no, 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 no. I don't even care about the rings. That doesn't matter to me. Like
You just mean stat wise.
just stats, individual accomplishments, things like that. I think because he played with the force against Golden State. When has and we've all seen LeBron play for a while now. When have we seen him play with that kind of force? Just the physical force of it.
Facing elimination. That's the only answer I have. It's just when he has no other choice. I
I don't know, man. I just think that if you think about the players of today, and not just in NBA, but NFL, MLB, whatever, these players have a different mentality than players who played in the 80s and 90s. Like they don't want to they don't want to spend their entire life playing this sport. They want to make their money, get their rings, and move on to different areas where they can make more money, right? Like we see that with NFL players retiring early. Now, yes, it's due to concussions and health, but we all know that the NBA is one of the most longest, gruesome seasons a player can go through. And
Mhm.
so, if Bron, he already has other avenues that he is a businessman in, and so why would it be any different? Because clearly he does not care what people think, right? People say he shouldn't have left Cleveland. He left. LeBron's his own guy. He doesn't care what the media says. He doesn't care what we say. He's gonna do what he wants to do. And I just feel like personally, and I agree, like maybe he wants to get to chase Jordan, but maybe he also wants to just do his own thing and become a business owner in other avenues and does not have to play until he's 35, 38 to do so. So I don't know. I think it's an option. He probably won't do it, but I think it would be pretty cool if he did.
I don't see him retiring this year,
No.
but I honestly wouldn't be surprised at all if he retired next season, win or lose. I think obviously if the team stays as built with or without Kevin Love, they'll probably be back in the finals next year. They got enough talent. If Kyrie and LeBron both stay healthy, they got enough talent where they'll be back in the finals next year. But the reality is, I think we've all seen LeBron physically, he's still a great athlete, like you said, Turner, but he's not the athlete he was last year. And he's only going to get less athletic. You know what I mean? Like, he's only going downhill from here. And if he went to the finals 6 straight times, won 3 of those, consensus the guy, he's still the face of the NBA. Regardless of what you're going to say about Steph, Steph may be the future, but still LeBron's league right now, and I think officially until whenever he goes, he's going to be the guy. But why stick around and force somebody to take that crown from him? Why not leave next year on top, doing something that just people haven't done? I don't know if anybody's been to the final 7 straight times in the last 2 decades. It's probably been a while. So why stick around until you get kind of in a Troy Polamalu, the switch sports type of range where your team feels like they're stuck with you because you've been there for so long and you're not the player you used to be. I think, like you said, Jay, he's got other things that he wants to do. He's already talked about having an acting career. He's done cameos and movies that nobody cares about. But he's got the management company with Maverick Carter, Rich Paul, and other guy. I can't think of him right now. But, he's already got other stuff that he can do. He's making tons of money off his shoes. That ain't going to change. So
Yeah.
real reason for him to play 8, 9 more years other than just the Jordan thing. But even he has said himself that catching Jordan or being compared to Jordan isn't really that important.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's just talk, but like you said, he clearly feels he doesn't really care what people think. So I believe him. I take him on his word on it. If he say he don't think about me better than Jordan,
Yeah, I agree. I think it would be interesting. I don't know if it was Turner. I think Turner said it in the group chat. He said that maybe Braun would go help Melo and Chris Paul get some rings. I think that would be pretty cool. I mean, they've talked about teaming up on 1-3-4, but how would that work? They all got to go to Cleveland, right?
Yeah, I mean, you trade Kyrie for CP, trade Love, three-way, bring Melo. Certainly, I mean, it's far-fetched, but
Very far fetched.
I mean, everybody thought Wade to Miami. I mean, LeBron and Bosh to Miami was far-fetched, and then there you go.
Is that a champ? Is a team of LeBron, Melo, and Chris Paul, who's also on a decline, a better team than Bron, Love, and Kyrie? I'm not saying it isn't, or it isn't. I don't think it is. Is it?
no, not at all. You get an overall upgraded point guard. Chris Paul's a better basketball player than Kyrie Irving, though he isn't the same shooter or scorer. But what does Kevin Love? I mean, what does Carmelo Anthony really give you at the power forward position that you're not getting from Kevin Love? Kevin Love realistically might be a better outside shooter than Carmelo Anthony. Melo is just as bad, if not worse, on defense. Melo ain't gonna rebound like Kevin Love's gonna rebound, and he's also physically mismatched if he's playing the forward full time. So what's the advantage there? And he's older than Kevin Love. Obviously, if you're doing this, you're doing it to win right now anyway, so that doesn't matter as much. But like you said, A, he's on a decline. B, he's not giving you anything more. And it doesn't seem to me like LeBron would be interested in moving to power forward full time, even though he's done it in certain lineups. So either with Melo at the 3 or at the 4, you've downgraded to me. Even with how poorly Kevin Love played in the finals, I would rather have Kevin Love in the finals than Carmelo Anthony.
Yeah, I think I would have to agree. I mean, like I said, someone posed a question in our Facebook group. Again, if you're on Facebook, like millions of people are, we have a sports politicking Facebook group. I'm not sure if it's closed or not, but we also post questions on our Facebook page as well. But someone in the group posted a question. They said, "Dang, what was that question?" It was about, man, I lost my train of thought. It was about Melo. I don't know. I'll come back.
Pressure on Melo to win.
What was that?
Where's the pressure for Melo to win a championship?
Oh, yeah. That's exactly what it is. And I said, I think who really cares? People don't really care about Melo anymore. But maybe that's not true. I mean, y'all care about the pressure to Melo to win a championship?
No, I never cared about it. I just didn't like the inconsistency in which Melo and LeBron were covered. And that's always been my issue in comparison to LeBron. I don't really care about any of it, really. I just don't like how they're covered differently. Like, now, it's been clear for a while that LeBron's a better player. But when Melo was I don't think he was really ever a superstar, because of his defense and aversion to passing. But when Melo was much better than he was now, like, the expectations were never on him to win. So, they're definitely not going to be on him to win now because he's a declining player. He can still get buckets in his sleep, and he's going to always be able to do that. But it's difficult to build around him because he doesn't want to play the 4. But at the 3, he's exposed defensively. He's a very good rebounder, but he doesn't pass. It's hard to build around a guy like that because then you need a 4 who can stretch and a 5 who can defend the paint.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then the 5 needs to be able to somewhat stretch too. Like, you're not going to find 2 players like that, much less 1. So that's why it's harder to build around them.
Yeah, I'm just like I think in my early days of watching Melo, I really wanted him to get a championship because he's a scorer. I think we like scoring is sexy. We want the scorers to get championships. But at this point in time, I'm like, Melo had opportunity to leave New York and go to a better opportunity to win championships, and he chose the money. And I'm not saying that's wrong. Like, I would probably choose that money too. I mean, that's a lot of money to turn down. But I don't feel sorry for him for being stuck in New York and having that team of people around him that won't get him a championship. I think it's just time to move on from the whole Melo conversation, and no one really cares as much about it anymore. So,
I mean, on that topic, though, I don't think the Bulls would have provided them the best chance. You know how I feel about Bulls, man. Y'all are Bulls fans.
You don't like the Bulls, man. Damn.
Nah, it's not that I don't. It's not that I don't like the Bulls. Y'all have these unrealistic expectations for your team, and it shows. And I gotta fry y'all because y'all first Derrick Rose is the savior. Then Jimmy Butler's the savior. Then y'all lose to one of LeBron's teams every year, and then y'all make excuses every year. Oh, it should have happened this way.
But LeBron's teams have been. I mean, they've been better than the Bulls team, though. That's not a knock at all. That's not a slight against Jimmy Butler.
I agree
Jimmy
with that.
Butler is a great player. Rose is a good player.
So then what was all the talk for in the beginning of the year then and throughout the year, especially if y'all beat one of LeBron's teams? Oh, we winning the championship. We the #1 seed. We got LeBron's number. The next thing you know, oh, now y'all backpedaling.
Well,
I'm not even going to touch that. You know how I felt about the Bulls the last couple of years. Tom Thibodeau killed that team's present and in a lot of ways probably our future. So I'm not even going to address that. But I want to go back to Carmelo Anthony for a little bit. To me, I think that since he left Denver, I think most people realize he had no chance of winning the title. He forced his way to a New York team that had to give away all their talent to get him. And there was nothing there left for them. No draft picks, no young guys. They sent everything to Denver, and that Denver team went to the playoffs with the same guys that they couldn't win with in New York. But his best chance of winning a title would have been in Denver with Camby, Kenyon Martin, Andre Miller, and the rest of those guys. He's never had enough talent around him in New York, and I hate to say it, but I don't think that being in Chicago would have been that much of an upgrade for him. I mean, it would have been an upgrade, but it wouldn't have been a championship-level upgrade.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have fit what we were trying to do at that point in time. I think once you got past really leaving Denver, I have to admit I was one of those guys early on that thought Carmelo Anthony was better than LeBron. To me, it was close that rookie year. I thought that second year he was still better than him, and then LeBron just kept going. Melo got to a point where he stopped getting better, in my opinion. One of the things I liked about Carmelo's situation, when LeBron got to Cleveland, they traded everybody away. They got rid of Ricky Davis for what ended up being a pretty good reason. They traded away the talent that Cleveland team had to build around LeBron.
Mm-hmm.
Melo came into a team that was already solid. They already had veterans there. You knew who the guys were on that squad, and he just had to come out and be the best scorer on that team. They didn't have anybody that could score. They had everything else around him. Once he left that situation, there was nothing else there. After 5 or 6 years of Melo obviously doesn't have what it takes, you stop caring. At least I did.
And that's where I think where situations matter, because if he would have gone to Detroit, we would look at Melo's career differently. Because he comes off the bench in his first year behind Tay, and then going forward, he's the centerpiece of that team.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, I think situations matter in that case. So,
sticking with the real topic that we want to talk about, it ain't about Melo. It's about LeBron. So, actually, Tyronn Lue.
Okay.
Do you think this win will catapult his career forever? Like, how long does he have to? Is he going to be an elite coach?
Here's my response to that. How many head coaching jobs does Mike Brown have since he left Cleveland?
Dang, that's true. That is true.
That's all I got to say. I mean, I like Tyronn Lue as a player. I like the fact that he seems to want to hold everybody accountable. I read something on Twitter one day that he told LeBron James to shut the F up in some practice because LeBron was, he was goofing around and everybody was taking it back by. And that's cool. That's great. That's really exciting. But the reality is, I don't think from an X's and O's perspective, he's as good a coach as David Blatt was. And David Blatt couldn't get another job in the NBA. So winning a championship is cool. But when everybody and their mama feels like LeBron puts you in that position, even to be head coach, and then great individual play won you the title, I don't think he's going to get a lot of credit for that. So it's not like, Turner went to bat for Spo for, 2 or 3 years when people in the group were questioning whether Spoelstra should have the head coaching job in Miami. He actually went out and made adjustments. He actually went out and changed his offense. He actually went out and learned how to coach these type of players that he had. I don't know if Tyronn Lue's going to be that kind of guy. So if something happens 2 or 3 years from now and Tyronn Lue gets fired, 3 or 4 years from that, he might not be head coaching anywhere.
Well, I mean, but if he gets two championships, 2 or 3 championships like Coach Spo, then he must be a great coach, though, right?
I really want to hear Turner's take on that.
Y'all so shady, man. Y'all so shady. It depends. There were palpable things that Spo did to rejigger Miami's offense more specifically, because defense was his background. They did rejigger the defense around LeBron, and they trapped everything. They used their speed and their athleticism to their advantage. That was Spo. That was coaching. Ty Lue is more, and I think this is an underrated part of coaching, managing egos and stuff, and being more together and being less. This is not a word, but it is a word. Being less of a curmudgeon. Like Blatt apparently had bad bedside manner, and because of that rubbed people the wrong way. Lue, on the other hand, would soothe you, but then he do that because he has the respect when you messing up. He's gonna tell you that you're messing up. As far as X's and O's, he did have one palpable thing on offense, and that was play with pace. Not pace in the sense of how many possessions they use, but when they actually have the ball, moving the ball quicker. So there was a lot more of that than it was under Blatt. So I will say that he did do something, and as long as LeBron is there, they're going to be competing for championships anyway. How much Lue gets credit for that just depends on, what you see in his coaching. But yeah, he's definitely he's definitely on the right track for sure.
But I mean, look, let's think about. I asked this question here. Steve Kerr got Coach of the Year, and rightfully so. But technically, he got out coaches in the finals. Yes or no?
I don't know if I can say that, because Ty Lue, the Cavaliers didn't beat him with execution.
They executed, though. They were down 3. You don't come back from 3-1 without some kind of coaching.
No. I'm not saying that. But did Kerr really coach badly?
You're right.
Kerr didn't do well as rotate his players. He didn't handle injuries well. But there's no way to prepare for that. There's no way to prepare for Andrew Bogut.
Yeah, that's true.
I think Kerr messed up. He did go to Ezeli too much, but he couldn't overplay the death lineup. Only other person who can play center is Draymond. Yeah, you giving up layup after layup if you put him in center. So that's all they want is to see him in the switch.
I don't know. He played pretty good on defense in Game 7. Obviously, I know that doesn't go with what his career was, but in Game 7, he played really lights out on D, and I think he had enough effort. He seemed motivated enough to keep that up. If you gave him more minutes, I think you would have seen more of that. And there's no way he could have been worse on defense than Varejao, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know. I've seen enough of Spates to not really expect much on defense.
Yeah, Spates ain't gonna give you much no more.
Not on defense at least. Like he's expanded his range out to the 3-point line, which made him much more valuable on offense. He's a good rebounder, but his defense is terrible. Like, I feel like he didn't have any center options after Bogut. Like Cleveland played
Yeah,
them all right off the floor, and that's a
yeah.
credit. That's a credit. That's another thing Lou did. Lou looked for Curry. They targeted Curry all series long, like how they did Love up until and Love was very good defensively for most of this series too. But
Hmm.
they targeted Curry. They went after him every chance they could. They went after him. I mean, that's coaching. I mean,
Coaching.
it's difficult to say what Kerr could have done differently because the Def lineup got blitzed in Game 6. Like it was clear that he couldn't go to that anymore. They were minus 19 in 11 minutes on or 8 minutes in Game 6. It doesn't have the same effect the more you use it because it's easier to game plan for. So what theoretically could Kerr have done with Bogut hurt?
I mean, really, all he really could have done is to rely on Livingston, right? Because that's who kept them when the Golden State bench outscored Cleveland's bench. Livingston was a huge part of that, and so he came in the game in Game 7, and he didn't have the same effect. Who else other than Livingston was supposed to score points for Golden State off the bench?
Not Barbosa, consistently.
Barbosa was great in this series, though. Honestly, Barbosa was only 1 for 2 in Game 7, but for the series, his true shooting percentage was above 700. I mean, that's elite. Like it doesn't really get much better than that.
Andre didn't do much.
No, well, he had the back issue too, though. Like I don't know how much that affected him in Game 7, but Game 6, he looked like he could barely stand at points.
Yeah, and he was guarding LeBron, and LeBron was getting the best of him too after Game 5. But I think that was just too much because when Iguodala had to start playing more minutes because of the Bogut injury, y'all was talking about turning points earlier. Bogus injury, and then by proxy, Iguodala having to play more minutes. I think that started to take its toll because he couldn't just be used in spot duty anymore. He actually had to play more.
I think Game 5 hurt Golden State more than Tyronn Lue's coaching in a number of ways. Losing Bogut in Game 5, the momentum shift of losing by what they lose by 20-something at the end of Game 5. I know you had scrub time and things got a little bit closer, but when Game 5 was pretty much said and done, they lost by a lot, and I think that was really when Cleveland started to feel like, all right, we got a chance to win this thing. Like we can actually come back and win this series. That all started in Game 5. Not having Draymond Green for that game, I don't know if they win Game 5 with Draymond Green. It's impossible to tell. Like there's really no way you can really go back and say, Draymond Green would have done differently such and such on this play. Draymond Green would have been here. This would happen. You don't know. So it's hard to say that they would have won Game 5. But the reality is Game 5, from a physical standpoint and a mental standpoint, was the turning point. Physically for Golden State being down a man, mentally for Cleveland feeling like we can win this. That hurt Cleveland more. I mean, that hurt Golden State more than anything Tyronn Lue did. Tyronn Lue did a great job of attacking Steph Curry. I definitely agree with that. I love the fact that anytime he switched onto LeBron, they would ISO and move their wings as far away as possible so he couldn't double off of him to make him have to defend. But outside of that, there weren't a lot of lights out coaching moves that he made. So can you say Steve Kerr got out coached? Not really. I will say that he was hurt a little bit in not forcing, or not necessarily forcing, but getting the guys to run plays more and freelance less. Because I think towards the end of Game 7, not having concrete direction kind of hurt themselves because that opened up the hero ball.
Yeah.
I don't know how much guys are listening to coaching, anybody's coaching, in the last 5 minutes of the game when it's tight.
Hey, let's kind of finish up on a topic that I think that is very controversial, and people are talking about it left and right. And it's the topic of the NBA rigged the finals, or the NBA is rigged. I personally think it's ludicrous. You know, maybe the NBA draft lottery is rigged, but the finals, the money, come on. What are you guys take on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's beyond stupid. I feel like people who think that don't, shouldn't watch basketball if you think that. I'm going out to everybody at this point. It's stupid if you think that. And I'm talking to everybody who think that the NBA is rigged. It's stupid. Let's just put that out there. Too many people have to be in on the fix. So you start at the very bottom level. You got to start with the players. Then you got to get all the players to buy in, right? Players got reputations on the line. Shoeless Joe Jackson, obviously, that was 1919, and he's deceased now. But Shoeless Joe Jackson will always have that black stain on his name in history because of the Black Sox scandal. Then you have that. Then you got the players. You got to get the coaches in, general manager, all the staff. Then you got to get the corporate sponsors in. You got to get the refs in. Too much could go wrong for it to say that it's rigged. So if Game 5 was rigged, how did Kyrie still go for 41, taking tough shots that he misses more than he makes? Was it rigged in? Were the baskets bigger for Cleveland that night in Golden State? I mean, I don't understand. It's too much that has to go into fixing the game. Draymond brought that all upon himself. People want to say, yeah, LeBron baited him. Sure. I mean, a lot of players bait a lot of players, but Draymond was the only one who had the flagrant foul points, that were against him. And one more thing with the flagrant, and he would have gotten suspended a game. That's all on Draymond. I don't understand. Now Draymond's the martyr because of that. It confuses me. I think the only reason people are saying it's rigged is because they didn't want LeBron to win. That's the only reason why I think that.
Exactly. I mean, and rigged for who? Like, who is really benefiting? Was it rigged for Golden State? Because if it was rigged, they were saying it was rigged. Oh, it was rigged to keep the Cavs in the game, right? That's what they're saying. They were suspend the green to get the Cavs going further in the series. So that means that it was rigged in Golden State to get Golden State more competition. But then they lose the finals. So it wasn't rigged for Golden State. So what? It was rigged for Cleveland? Like, come on, let's just be real. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it's too hard for you to say the NBA is rigged. We know who's going to final, who's going to win this, who's going to win that. Because every year you've got teams who everybody thinks are going to be good that fall apart. You can't predict injuries. You can't predict, like you said, Kyrie Irving making contested shots. Like, it's too hard to rig actual action. Now, when you say rigged, if you talk about referees giving preferential calls to certain people, there may be some truth to that. I think get certain calls. I think that the NBA could acknowledge that, going to 7 games is better than Golden State winning 4-1. But I don't think, honestly, that played a part in Draymond Green not playing Game 5. They assessed him a flagrant for that shot that he did on LeBron. They assessed him a flagrant for what he did on Steven Adams. So people look at it as saying he didn't get suspended for kicking Steven Adams, but he got suspended for kicking LeBron James isn't accurate. He got the same punishment for both of those. It just so happens, like Turner said, he had enough points on his flagrant fouls throughout the regular season and playoffs where that last flagrant got him suspended. That's not on the NBA. That's on Draymond Green.
Yeah.
And like you said, did LeBron James bait him into it? Probably. But here's the reality. Guys have made entire careers off doing that. I mean, Dennis Rodman came out and openly said, if I get punched in the face and you get ejected, I win.
Yeah.
It ain't like this is the first time that's ever happened. Like Dexter Pittman. It wasn't that Dexter Pittman was that guy on Miami a couple years ago who would go out there and deliver hard fouls because if he got ejected, didn't nobody care. Kendrick Perkins was that guy from Cleveland last year. So it ain't like this is the first time in the history of anybody picking up a basketball where you had a guy who may have got baited into doing something stupid. It's on you. You have to be smart enough as a team player, professional athlete, adult, to know what's at stake at any given point in time. So if he didn't do that, that's not on the NBA. That's on Draymond Green for not being more mature.
I mean, players talk trash. Players try to get in the mind of other players. That's in every sport. That's never going to change. It is, like you said, it is up to the player to stay in control. If he doesn't try to hit him in the balls or hit him in the ball, he doesn't get suspended. That's not rigged. Yes, can refs? I think we can watch games and say to ourselves, not just in NBA but NFL, man, these refs are really letting them play, or these refs really aren't calling these plays like they normally would. And we can say they are influencing the game to a certain extent, but to say that it's rigged, like Turner said, it requires way too many people and a very secret society to pull it off, because now you got players who make more money if you win this championship, right? And so if you telling this player that we need to rig this game so that you can lose, you messing with that person's money. At the end of the day, these guys trying to get money. They trying to get paid. So how does that work? How are you going to pay them?
You got guys that have openly turned down long-term contracts because they didn't want to take a $2 million pay cut. You got guys like Latrell Sprewell talking about he can't feed his family off of $5 million a year. So you tell me these guys will turn down the difference in money that comes with winning a championship because it's better for the NBA? Like,
yeah, right.
We've had lockouts in each of our last 2 collective bargaining agreements. They're not on the same page. Like, the players don't care enough about the NBA where they're just going to take any kind of deal in labor. So why would they do it in games?
In games.
And exactly. That I've seen to come out and say there's any validity to the fact that the NBA wants referees to influence the game or try to determine wins is Tom Donaghy, and he's got an agenda. I mean, we all know him. I wouldn't interview him for nothing. First and foremost, I don't understand why people still bring him in, but he's not a guy whose authority I would trust for anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he really doesn't have any credibility, especially considering when the series that he said was rigged, the Kings versus the Lakers. I'm a Kings fan, just so everybody knows, and I hated the Lakers when I was younger, and I didn't realize. But yeah, that's the series that he brings up, but everybody already knew that. Like, he didn't say anything that was breaking news or anything. Most people thought that was rigged anyway. So when he brought that up, my first thought was he doesn't know anything. He's just talking just to get attention at that point. Because anybody who knows about basketball, when you talk about rigging games, that's one of the top 3 games that always comes up. So I don't think he really knew much of anything, to be 100% honest. So yeah, I just think it's too much that has to go into it. And, you know, for those who want to lionize Draymond Green and make him the martyr, listen, man, y'all got to stop. Listen, I play ball. We've all played ball somewhere at some point, and there's been people that have tried us. Like, you can do that in street ball because there are no repercussions unless you get beat too bad. Then you go on social media and get clowned. If you beat somebody up too bad, then somebody might tell on you. Either way, you can do that in street ball. When you're in the NBA, you can't do that. Like, you got to do better. Like, that's just, it's not excusable. Bait it or not, look what Cleveland is now. And it's difficult for me to say, looking how LeBron played the last 2 games with Draymond on the court, that they would have won Game 5 with Draymond there. LeBron went off in Game 6 and 7.
Draymond put up 28 points in Game 7.
He put up 23 in the first half, though.
Yeah.
They stopped going to him or stopped getting him opportunities to get shots. They didn't run the same plays for him in the second half. They didn't get him open like they did. So you can't really talk about, you know, the NBA being rigged because Draymond Green had a good first half and disappeared in the second. Like you said, LeBron James just outplayed him down the stretch. He was the guy that really kept that offense alive in the first half when both of the Splash Brothers were struggling. He didn't have that in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, what the NBA Illuminati society is talking to Curry and Thompson saying throw up bricks so that we can, you know, so you can lose money and Cleveland can win. And come on, I mean, let's be real. Like, those guys were just, they got beat, man. They got beat for some reason. Things changed, momentum changed. Cleveland changed their techniques or whatnot, and they started playing better, and they won those games. It is what it is. It sucks. No one was saying it was rigged when Golden State came back from 3-1 against OKC. Maybe a few people were, but not the most of the people that are saying it's rigged were people who are Golden State fans, right? Like, come on, let's just be honest. People are bitter, they're upset, their team lost. It happens. Move on. Come back next year. You know. So, what's the one takeaway? And maybe we can end on this, unless you guys have some other topics regarding the NBA Finals. What's the one takeaway or one moment that you're going to remember from this game, from this Finals? It can be any game, minus the Draymond Green, I guess. Is there any other moment that you kind of like is cemented in your mind, like, wow, that was a crazy moment, or that was a good moment, or I'm not going to forget this moment? Is there anything other than?
Yeah, a few for me. The block from last night from LeBron. The other block on Steph when he was.
Oh yes, we gotta talk about that. We gotta talk about that.
Yeah. When Clay and then we're talking in the beginning of the series, talking about it's a man's league. Even though that wasn't in the game, but the man's league comment that was a moment to me. Yeah. Those are indelible images for me for sure.
Alan, what you got?
I think anybody you ask will probably say the block. That block on Iguodala was huge. I mean, to me, that's one of the most memorable blocks in the 20-odd years that I've been watching basketball. Probably even longer than that. There's never really been a block that had that kind of momentum. That I think, honestly, for me, Steph throwing his mouthpiece and getting ejected, even though he had fouled out, it was really memorable because he's never really been that frustrated. He's never been in a position where things were just going that poorly for him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually excited to see having the offseason to kind of sit on that to see how he comes out next year. I think that the 41-point game in Game 5 from LeBron and Kyrie, not necessarily, that's not a moment, but that performance just being so rare. Just Kyrie, just in general in that game, hitting contested shot after contested shot. There was so much that went right for Cleveland. So many things that you couldn't imagine happening twice that happened in the same series over and over again. That won the championship for them. It just seems like, like you said, Turner, earlier, the basketball gods were really favoring Cleveland to do something they hadn't done. And then the last thing for me is the Cleveland Cavaliers holding the trophy up at the end of the game. Nick and Dan Gilbert being up there, and everybody saying this is for Cleveland. Like, more than LeBron's legacy, more than Kevin Love's value, more than Kyrie Irving's ability as a scorer, that championship was for Cleveland. And I think the fact that everyone felt how important that was, to me, is always going to be memorable, especially in today's NBA where guys seem to care more about themselves than anything.
Yeah, I don't really have like a huge moment where, other than like you said, the block was kind of like the moment for me. But for me, I think the biggest thing was a stat line that kind of like just blew my mind. I think we all know where I'm about to go with this, and it's LeBron's stats of being first place in every category in the finals, like amongst both teams. And that to me is just like, that's never been done, man. Like on both teams, points scored, rebounds, assists. I mean, that's crazy to me. And people don't have to like LeBron, but you better put some respect on that thing, man. That brother is doing it, man, and that's just crazy to me. So let's finish off on one more topic. Turner just brought it up that I completely forgot about, was the block that LeBron James had on Curry in Game 7. If y'all don't remember, I think Curry was going down on a fast break, and he went up for a layup, and LeBron came and just swatted the hell out of that shot. And if you watched it, LeBron stared down Curry. Like, he stared him down. But Curry never turned his head to look at him. And me and Turner both talked about this in a post in the group. We said we felt like there was some hostility there. Yes or no?
Yeah, that was personal. That was absolutely personal. Again, we've all watched LeBron play basketball for years now. and he really doesn't do that. That's not something that he really does. So,
Alan, do you remember that block?
Yeah, I think that, like you said, Steph might not have seen it or might not have acted like he saw it, but LeBron really took not just that play, but the trash talk and the doubt and everything. Personally, I think he kind of put it all into that block. It was huge for that, but also it showed something that a lot of people didn't seem to feel like LeBron had. That was a killer instinct. He was on defense. He wasn't jacking up threes for the game, but he really showed that he wanted to be a killer and was going to do what it took physically to win.
But me and Turner have a different aspect on that. Turner, tell him why you think LeBron blocked that shot the way he did.
I think a lot of people, thought that Steph had eclipsed LeBron as the best player in basketball.
Yeah.
And we had been hearing all season about Steph as the most valuable player, and his season was the best. Can't take that away from him. But LeBron threw a little bit of shade towards him when they had that discussion. He was like, yeah, Steph was the MVP, but if you want to talk about true value, then but it's hard to put LeBron's value in something that most people can understand. So he couldn't go there. Other people could do it for him, but he couldn't go there. But he had been hearing all season about Steph.
Yeah.
And I think that block, all of that encapsulated, you see the memes on the internet now, like your shoes are trash, your wife can't cook, all kinds of things. I think it was personal, man. He got tired of hearing about all of it. Like, he's like, I literally do everything for my team. I rebound, assist, block, steal, have to play defense, and I score. You have one of the best coaches in the NBA, and this is what he's thinking, not saying. And all you have to do is shoot and make plays. You are not more valuable to me, and I think that's that manifested in him getting in his face like that.
And there was a little bit of banter after that block. I don't know if it was in regards to the block, but they were exchanging words, and so I was like, yo, like that's what's up. So it was a good finals, man. I'm just glad it went 7. I'm glad the Cavs were able to come back. I'm glad it was competitive. You two fellas, got any other topic regarding Game 7 that you want to talk about before we end this sports politicking show tonight?
No, I don't think so. I think that's everything for me.
Yep,
Werner, good. All right, fans, we appreciate you joining. If you're joining live or whether you're watching the replay, we definitely appreciate all of you. We need you to, subscribe to our channel. Please share our videos and join us every Sunday, for unscripted, unedited sports talk, sports debate, just from average fans, just like you guys. Trying something new just for you guys, and definitely want you. So, as always, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, every Sunday is our scheduled time for now. Follow us on Twitter at Sports Politicking. We live tweet our games, everything. So, see y'all soon. Thanks for joining. Fellas, say your goodbyes and let's end this thing.
Thanks for checking us out. Chicago Bulls return to the playoffs 2017.
We appreciate y'all checking us out, and the Kings won't be in the playoffs until well after that.
That's what's up. Later.